Anytime a school district purchases a structure for the purposes of demolition, it requires a complete asbestos NESHAPS inspection. Basically, schools have a HERA to deal with, and they've got the NESHAPS to deal with as well. A HERA says, in-place management, keep an eye on it, watch it every 6 months, get a 3-year reinspection done. NESHAPS says, if you're going to tear into it, test it. Know that it doesn't contain asbestos prior to disturbance. An asbestos inspector conducting a thorough NESHAPS inspection would check underneath the carpets. Here we see a carpet adhesive that would be tested for asbestos, but underneath that we have plywood. No further testing required in this area. The asbestos inspector would also take samples of this ceiling tile. What they're looking for here are what we call homogeneous materials. In other words, ceiling tile that all look the same are going to be sampled as one. Anything that looks different from another ceiling tile would be a separate sample. Drywall, drywall mud, and drywall tape, all considered to be suspect materials for asbestos. The asbestos inspector would have to collect samples of these materials as well to prove their non-asbestos content. The asbestos inspector was also ascertain as to whether or not there are any materials below this wood, this particle board that we see here. So pulling up from this corner here just to ensure that there's not a felt or another layer, sometimes floor tile could be found underneath something like this. Here we have some 12-inch floor tile. 12-inch floor tile are considered to be suspect materials. So the asbestos inspector would come collect one sample from here. And again, all of these floor tile look to be homogeneous to one another. So one sample here, one sample of the adhesive underneath. Caulkings are also considered to be suspect materials. And we see a little bit of caulking right around the bottom basin of the toilet here. That would have to be tested for asbestos as well prior to ripping this down. Asbestos materials aren't only located on the insides of these structures. Oftentimes you can find them on the outside of a structure as well. This window caulking would certainly need to be tested for asbestos prior to knocking the structure down. This door frame caulking would also be considered suspect for asbestos and have to be tested before we knock this structure down or disturb that material in any way. Another place where it's potential to find asbestos are on soffit boards. Here we have a form of asbestos in the form of asbestos cement. This is an asbestos cement board, commonly called transite board. Transite was a trade name given by Johns Manville to describe all of their asbestos cement products. So what we have here is an asbestos cement board serving as a softening material. They were the single greatest supplier of asbestos materials in this country's history.
Remember, a school district must test all suspect materials prior to renovation or demolition activities in any of their district buildings.
So purchasing a structure for $1, that could wind up costing a lot more given the testing that has to be conducted prior to demolishing the structure. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, please contact the Iowa Department of Natural Resources Air Quality Bureau.